Welcome to Coasts in Mind, a community archive documenting the impact of climate and coastal change on some of England's most vulnerable coastlines. As a community citizen scientist, you'll be contributing to a growing archive that maps how our coastlines are changing over time. The archive is built from individual records, photographs, postcards, videos, audio recordings, and text documents, each linked to a specific location and time. In this video, we'll walk you through how to create a complete record from scratch using the Coasts in Mind mapping platform. By the end, you'll know exactly what information to add and why each piece matters. Once you've created an account and logged into the Community Archive, you'll see the Community Archive map and the tools tray on the left. Before we start creating a record, let's take a moment to get familiar with the map. This is the heart of the Coasts in Mind platform, and understanding what you're looking at will make contributing much easier. When you first arrive at the platform, you'll see a map of England. This is an open street map, an open source map that forms the base layer of the archive. You'll notice some red shaded areas on the map. These mark the boundaries of the 4 regions where we're currently collecting data: Sefton in Merseyside, the Taw-Torridge Estuary, North Devon, Poole Harbour, East Dorset, and the Swale Estuary in North Kent. Records should relate to locations within these highlighted areas. Navigating the map is straightforward. To move around, click and hold the mouse button and drag in any direction. To zoom in, click the plus icon in the top right corner of the map and click minus to zoom out. You can also use the scroll wheel on your mouse to zoom. As you zoom in, you'll start to see the archive's contents appearing on the map. Content is represented by different types of pins and icons. Black pins represent individual records, a single photograph, video, or audio recording. Click on a pin to see a preview of that record above it. Then click the preview to open the full record. White circles with a number appear where several records are clustered close together. The number tells you how many records are in that area. Zoom in further and they'll separate out into individual black pins. Clusters of 3 pins indicate a collection, a curated group of records sharing a common theme. Yellow pins with a clock icon mark timelines, groups of records from the same location at different points in time, showing how a place has changed. Green pins with a route illustration indicate trails, walkable series of records that you can explore on foot or browse online. Now, let's look at the left-hand menu. This is where you access the main tools for exploring and contributing to the archive. The compass icon opens the Browse tray. The Browse tray shows thumbnail images of all the records currently visible on the map. As you move or zoom the map, the thumbnails update to show only what's in view. Click any thumbnail to go straight to that record. This is a great way to explore what's already in the archive for your area. The magnifying glass icon opens the search tray. There are 2 distinct search functions to be aware of. At the very top of the map, not in the search tray, is the Find Place search. This searches the base map to help you navigate to a location. It does not search the archive itself. To search the archive, use the text box at the top of the search tray. Type any keyword here to search record titles, descriptions, and data fields. You can then narrow your results using the filters below, by type of content, by date, record type, types of coastal change, and other key pieces of information in each record. Finally, let's look at the map view options. At the top of the map, you'll see a Change Map button. Click this to switch between the available base maps and overlays. In addition to the default OpenStreetMap, you can switch to a satellite view or explore a range of historic Ordnance Survey maps dating from 1885 through to the 1960s. There's also an overlay of aerial photography from the National Network of Regional Coastal Monitoring Programs, showing low tide imagery of the project regions. These historic overlays are particularly valuable when you're trying to understand how a coastline has changed, or when you're drawing annotations to mark former features. You can learn more about each of these maps by opening the overlay tray. Now that you're familiar with the map and its tools, let's move on to creating your first record. The example we are using to test the Contribute system is this postcard showing two people playing golf on Northern Burrows on the Taw-Torridge estuary in North Devon. Navigate to the Contribute tab in the menu to get started. From here, select Create Record. This will take you into the record creation workflow, where you'll be guided through each step in turn. Let's go through these steps one by one. Initially, we click Begin. The first step is to place your record on the map. Every record in the Coasts in Mind archive must have a geographic location. This is what allows records to be displayed on the map and searched by area. Your location should be the place where the event or story in your record took place, or the place that the information relates to. You can move around the map by clicking and dragging, and zoom in and out using your scroll wheel. If you need help finding a specific place, use the text search tool in the top right of the map to search by place name. Once you've found the right location, click to place your pin. Try to be as precise as possible. If you know the exact spot where a photograph was taken, for example, place the pin there. If you only know the general area, place the pin as centrally as you can within it. When you're happy with the location, move on to the next step. Next, you'll give your record a title and a description. The title should be short and descriptive, just enough to help someone browsing the archive understand what the record represents at a glance. For example, Eroding Cliff Face, Sefton Coast, 1978, or Flooding on the Quay, Poole Harbour. The description is where you can give much more detail. You can write as much as you need here. This is the main body of your record, so include anything that helps explain what the record shows and why it's relevant to coastal change. One important note: accuracy matters more than speed here. Take your time, check your spelling, and read back what you've written before moving on. Typos in the title or description can make records harder to find in searches. Now it's time to add your media file. For this demonstration, we're uploading a photograph, but the archive can also hold video and audio recordings. For images, you can simply drag your file into the upload area or click to browse for it on your computer. You can upload standard image formats, including photographs, scans of postcards, maps, and documents. Once your image is uploaded, you have the option to edit the metadata, a brief label for the image itself, and a credit, which is where you note who the image belongs to or where it came from. If you're adding video or audio, you won't upload files directly. Instead, you'll need to upload your video to YouTube or Vimeo first, or your audio to SoundCloud, and then paste the link into the platform here. Adding a date to your record helps build the timeline of coastal change, one of the most important things this archive is designed to create. You don't need to know the exact date. You can enter just the year, or the year and month if you know it. If you're unsure, make your best estimate. An approximate date is much more useful than no date at all. There's also an option to add an end date. This is useful for records that relate to an event or a place that no longer exists. For example, a building that was demolished, or a beach that has since been lost to erosion. Now we come to the data fields. These are used to collect and categorize specific information about each record, which makes it possible to sort and analyze the data across the whole archive. There are 3 mandatory fields. The platform will ask you to complete these before you can save your record. If you genuinely don't have the information, there is always an option for none or unknown, so you won't be stuck. The first mandatory field is Archive Record Type. This groups records by the kind of material they are. Select whichever option best describes what you're uploading. For example, photograph, postcard, or document. If none of the options quite fits, choose Other and add a note in the further comments box. The second mandatory field is Place Name. This is designed to capture local knowledge. If there's a name, an official one, or a local one that you associate with this location, enter it here. The third mandatory field is Source of the record. This is where you tell us where the record came from. If it's from a named archive or museum collection, record that here. If it comes from a personal collection, note that and add the name of the person who contributed it. The remaining data fields are optional, but completing as many as you can will make your records significantly more useful to researchers. Coastal Change Indicator Type is where you categorize what kind of coastal change your record is evidence of. This is the core reason you're adding the record to the archive, whether that's erosion, flooding, habitat change, or something else. You can select more than one type if your record shows multiple kinds of change. Effects and Drivers of Change gives you space to describe the types of coastal change shown in the record: environmental, geographic, or cultural. Impact is a personal statement. Describe why you've decided to upload this record, what change or impact you're highlighting, and why you think it matters. This is where your local knowledge and personal connection to the coastline is especially valuable. Historical and climatic events lets you note any historical events that relate to your record: a storm, a flood, a war, a local news story. As you type, the platform will suggest existing entries from the database. Please select from the list where possible to keep the data consistent. Further Comments is a free text field for anything relevant that doesn't fit elsewhere. Finally, Keywords lets you add associated terms to help your record become more searchable. Type to see existing keywords in the database and add your own if needed, taking care not to duplicate existing entries with different spellings. The next tab is Annotations. These are additional graphical elements that you can draw directly onto the map to provide more spatial information about your record. The button at the right-hand end allows you to change the different map backgrounds and draw features from historical mapping if needed. There are 3 types of annotation. A viewpoint is used for photographs and images. It appears on the map as a triangle showing both where the photo was taken from and the direction and area of the view captured. To add a viewpoint, select Add Viewpoint, then drag the black point to mark where the camera was and adjust the white and red dot to set the angle of view. A polygon is a closed shape used to mark an area, for example the footprint of a building that no longer exists, or a defined section of coastline. A polyline is an open line used to mark a route or a boundary, for example a former path, a historic shoreline, or an administrative boundary. Annotations are powerful tools, but they require good local knowledge and clear evidence to draw accurately. If you're not confident about the exact position of a feature, it is better to place a point on the map than to draw an inaccurate annotation. Nearly there, the final few fields are quick to complete. Links allow you to point your readers to relevant web pages, a source you used, a related resource, or supporting information. To add a link, enter the name of the site or page and paste in the web address. Categories are used to assign your record to one of the 4 project regions. Select the appropriate region from the drop-down menu: Poole Harbour, Sefton Coast, Swale Estuary, or Taw Torridge Estuary. Credits is where you add any copyright information for material in your record that you didn't create yourself. For example, if you've used an image or text from another source, add any attribution or copyright details here. Once you're satisfied that everything is complete, save your record. It will then be reviewed by a moderator before being published to the archive. And that's it. You've completed your first record in the Coasts in Mind Community Archive. By contributing records like this one, you're helping to build a detailed, location-based picture of how our coastlines are changing, a resource that will be invaluable to researchers, heritage professionals, and future generations. If you'd like to explore the archive before adding more records, use the browse and search tools to look at what other contributors have uploaded. You can browse by location, search by keyword, and filter by record, type, date, and more. Thank you for contributing to Coasts in Mind.